are you doing? I am so excited to see all of your towns. How did that go? Did you make the most incredible town ever? Yeah, and all that matters is that you would want to live there. Don't think about what your brother did or what your friend does. Just do a town that you absolutely love and would want to live in. And that's all that matters. When maybe one day it'll actually become a reality. It might. I might not actually have like unicorns instead of cars. Like that might not be a reality, but your town could be. Like, who knew that Milton Hershey, when he was young and had all these dreams and plans for his life, would actually have towns, like cities named after him. And as we read on, we are going to actually hear about his town and what he added in. I didn't want to read this before because I wanted your towns to be your towns and what was important to you. But let's hear what Milton Hershey put in his towns in Chocolate Town, USA. Milton Hershey made great chocolate, but he also made a great town. The idea of building a whole town for a company's workers was not new. Some coal mines had done the same thing in the late 1800s. The Pullman Company, which made railroad cars, had a company town in Illinois. But those towns were not nearly as nice as Hershey, Pennsylvania. In other company towns, the houses weren't really well made. Have you ever seen like When Calls the Heart and you see all those houses that the miners would live in? It's like that idea. The workers had to buy all their food at the company store too, where prices were often high. There was nothing to do for fun in those towns either. Not in Hershey's town. In Hershey's town, he included parks and theaters. Hershey houses were comfortable and attractive. They had electricity and indoor plumbing, which means they could poop in the house. They didn't have to go out to an outhouse to poop. Poop in a toilet in the house, just to be clear. At the time, many American homes still didn't have flush toilets. So they literally, like, even in the winter, you have to like, just gotta go poo. And you gotta like put on your coat and run outside and freeze your little tushy off. As the years went on, Hershey kept adding to the town. In 1904, he built a library and a post office. 1905, he built a bank so that the workers could save their money. Listen to this. Also in 1905, a zoo was added. The Hershey Park Zoo caused some problems. The monkeys were very good at escaping, but the townspeople just called the zoo when they saw them scampering around their lawns. Another time, a worker found little monkey footprints in the chocolate factory. Now would be a good time if you have the book. Maybe you could find it online. I'm not sure, but I love and maybe actually you could watch the show of it. I'm sure they probably made a show, Curious George at the Chocolate Factory. It's a classic. It's a good one. Highly recommend reading that today or watching the show of it. Maybe that's where they got their idea for it, was when they found monkey footprints in the Hershey chocolate factory. In 1907, he opened a huge park for all the residents. In 1910, he opened a general store so they could shop close to home. Over the years, he gave money to different religious groups so they could build churches in the town too. Milton chose all the street names in his town. Have you done street names on your thing yet? Because if you haven't, go back and write street names. Make your street names be as creative as possible. Many had something to do with chocolate. Surprise, surprise, Milton Hershey. You might live on streets named for Java or Ceylon, places where cacao beans were grown. Ariba Avenue was named for a type of cacao bean. The town's main intersection was Chocolate Avenue and Cocoa Avenue. Just turn left on Chocolate Avenue and then right onto Cocoa Avenue, and then you'll be at our house. That would be nice. It would be actually cooler if like the houses were made of chocolate. That would be good. Okay, I'm back, I'm focused. Hershey was different from many very rich men at this time. He felt very strongly that anyone who had plenty of money ought to share it. Though he never followed a particular religion, he said he followed the golden rule. He wanted to do for other people what he hoped they would do for him. Sounds like what Jesus said. do unto others as you would want done unto you. His workers made the chocolate that made him rich, so he wanted to make sure that they shared in the success. In fact, he gave them a bonus each year from the company's profits. Hershey brought chocolate to America, but his idea of how a business owner should conduct himself was probably more important. The town really needed a name. In 1904, the U.S. Post Office said it needed to know where mail was going to be sent. A contest was held to pick a name. Among the finalists was Beansdale Majestic, St. Milton's, and Zenith. Wow. The winner was Hershey Cocoa, like Hershey K-O-K-O. But the post office turned that one down. Sounded like a product, not a town. Finally, the choice was obvious. In 1906, the new town was officially named Hershey, Pennsylvania. A few years after opening, the Hershey factory sold more than, listen to this, $5 million worth of bars every year. Today, that would be about $123 million. Milton didn't think he needed to branch out to different chocolate products. He was happy making chocolates in the classic chocolate bar shape. But in 1907, he created one new product that would become even more famous than the Hershey chocolate bar. Okay, I'm gonna go on and you try to think, what is this product? I think you'll know it. Hershey had a machine that dropped a small amount of chocolates on a conveyor belt. The candies were first called Sweethearts. The story goes that when each drop hit the conveyor belt, it made a small smacking sound. Milton heard the name and came up with a new and better name. You recognize these bad boys? What are they called? The Hershey Kiss was born. So every time, that's how they got the name, which I find so fun. It hit the conveyor belt. Hershey Kiss. Bam! Brilliant. Soon millions of the kisses were being hand wrapped in the factory. Workers put a small tissue label on the candy. Then they spun it all inside a small piece of foil. Until 1921, every kiss was wrapped by hand. That's 100 years ago. Everyone was just... Hershey's mother, Fanny, who lived in a big house near the factory, still wanted to help. She had a box of unwrapped kisses sent to her every day. She wrapped them and gave them to visitors. Visitors to Hershey, Pennsylvania today can see that some of the town's streetlights are even shaped like kisses. It sounds like a magical town. It was important to Milton that his chocolate was affordable. He wanted everyone to enjoy chocolate. For 60 years, until 1969, Hershey bars cost only 5 cents, and you could find them everywhere. It used to be that a candy store was the only place to buy candy. But Milton told his salesmen to go everywhere. Drugstores, grocery stores, lunch counters, gift stores, anywhere people might want to buy a chocolate bar. Milton and Kitty Hershey were very rich. They had built themselves a beautiful house and gardens on a hill overlooking the factory. Sounds a lot like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That might be a good movie to watch today if you're looking for something to do this afternoon. Get some treats out and watch Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Maybe that's where they got the idea, was from Milton Hershey. They were beloved by the people of the town for whom they had done so much. The couple always missed not having children of their own, so the Hersheys came up with a way to care for and raise many kids. In 1909, Milton started the Hershey Industrial School for Orphan Boys. In the early 1900s, there was a great concern over what to do for orphan boys. There were orphan girls too, of course, but in those days, girls could get jobs that didn't require much training. They became cooks or seamstresses or housekeepers. Boys, it was thought, needed more schooling to prepare them for jobs in factories or stores. The difference in the way boys and girls were treated wasn't fair, but that is how it was. I'm glad that it's not that way today. Hershey's school was meant to give orphan boys the skills needed to earn a decent living. The school also gave them a home. Hershey himself had bounced from school to school. He wanted to make sure other boys avoided that. At the school, boys lived in different family homes with foster parents. Other schools for orphan boys had big dorms where everyone slept in one room. Hershey didn't want that. He wanted the boys to feel comfortable and loved. The school accepted orphans from nearby countries. Some poor families that had several kids could also send their boys to the school to live and study. All the boys studied reading and basic math. They learned trades like carpentry and farming. They also worked at the school's farm, milking cows every morning because chocolate needs a lot of milk. Because Milton Hershey also believed in having fun, Hershey Park grew and grew. He added a carousel, bowling alleys, miniature railroad. There were concerts and shows in the winter, ice skating. Most of these things were free to the citizens of Hershey, Pennsylvania. Thousands of visitors came by too. By the end of 1913, more than 100,000 people had visited Hershey Park. As all these things were going on in the town of Hershey, Milton and Kitty continued to travel when her health allowed. In 1912, they made another trip to Europe. Milton had bought tickets on a famous ocean liner for their voyage home. However, because of the business meeting, he had a change of plans and take an earlier ship. That turned out to be an incredible stroke of luck for the Hersheys. The original ship they went to sail on was the Titanic. You ever heard of the Titanic? Which was called the most luxurious ship ever made. The massive ocean liner hit an iceberg and sank on the way to America. Luck was with them on that trip, but it ran out for Kitty not long after that. She was visiting friends in Philadelphia when she became ill. Milton rushed to her side. After years of poor health, Kitty died on March 25th, 1915. Milton never married again, and he kept pictures of Kitty in every room of his house for the rest of his life. Twice a week, he had fresh flowers put on the grave of his beloved Kitty. Okay, today what I want you to do is because of the internet, we have this amazing ability to see places in the world without actually being there. So today I'm going to recommend that you go onto Google Earth and go to the town of Hershey and be able to explore and see what it looks like today. See the chocolate factory, see the amusement parks, whatever it might be. Take a look and be able to visualize. Do they still have the lamp posts with the Hershey kisses on it? What do you see that you find interesting in this town? You can also go on and explore the Hershey factory online. Make sure you have your parents' permission if you're younger, and just explore Milton Hershey's factory and find as much information about it as you can. And hopefully one day we'll all be able to go and visit this awesome town that is still happening today. So have a fabulous time. Enjoy.